let's talk about something I didn't want to even get into or touch, but you know what? I think it's time to get into it and touch it. Alright, during the TNT phase, you're going to have to do 50,000 miles. And then you're not done with your TNT. So anybody that says you do 50,000 miles and you're done with your TNT, that's not true. So I get a lot of questions on TNT, and a lot of people think that as soon as they finish their 50,000 miles, they're gone. They're on their own truck. That's not the case. You're going to finish your 50,000 miles, you're going to get put on a waiting list for a truck. You're not going to come to the campus and wait on a truck. You're going to have to just hang in there and keep running miles until a truck comes available, and then they'll call you in. Right now the list is real big. Today is 5/22/2020, so right now the list is really long. Like I believe last I checked on it, it was about 80 people. They were upgrading 10 people a week, and a little bit of the slowdown, I'm sure, was because of the coronavirus. You know, it might have knocked it down some. It might have made it where there was less rooms in the campus inn and stuff like that to house people in. But I'm always blunt with my students, and I tell them straight up, because I think that you should be honest with your student. You should be able to tell your student, hey, it's true, you do 50,000 miles and then you're on a list to upgrade to a truck. You know, that way they're not, and then you're going to have to wait on that list until a truck becomes available. We're going to keep doing miles until that truck's available. We're going to keep running freight. We're going to do what it takes to make some money. And be straight up with them. Be blunt. Don't beat around the bush with these students. Like if your trainer's all like, you're going to upgrade as soon as you hit 50,000 miles on my truck. That's not true. He don't have control over that like that. You get your 50,000 miles done, and then you get on the list to get a truck. So, you know, just remember that it's all going to be worth it in the end. Keep your head up. Don't plan on like, oh man, I'm going to get that 50,000 miles. I'm off my trainer's truck. I'm gone on my way to my own truck, to my own money. Because you're going to set yourself up for some disappointment is what you're going to do. Because you're going to be ready to get on your own truck. And guess what? You're going to find out that you're going to stay right there where you're at and stay on TNT until a truck becomes available. Then you're going to do the upgrade process. So that's a little bit about the 50,000 miles. I really haven't wanted to touch this yet, but as of right now, it looks like the 50,000 miles are here to stay. That limit and the way that they're upgrading people to trucks looks like it's going to stay the way it is. So that's a little bit of the knowledge that you need if you're in TNT right now. So if you're a student, you can pretty much see ya. This next part is for the instructor, or the TNT trainers. Alright, TNT instructors. It's best if you're honest with your student. Like they're gonna find out real quick if you're an honest person, if you're telling the truth. We really don't want to discourage the student by telling them, hey, as soon as you finish the 50,000 miles, you're going to upgrade to your own truck. You know, it's over right at 50,000 miles. Make sure your student understands that once they get to 50,000 miles, then they're going to have to wait until a truck becomes available on the list. If you're having a hard time explaining that to them or any trouble, you can get with the fleet manager on that. Also, if you want to know how many miles your student's at, you can always send your fleet manager a message asking them how many miles your student's at. You know, that way you have a good idea about when they're going to hit the 50,000 miles, when you can get them on the list. You know, that way as soon as they do hit the 50,000, they're already on the list. You know, that way whenever they're figuring up their own miles, whenever they figure up their own miles, then they can look at it and be like, okay, it's time for me to get on the list. And you can tell them, hey, look, I got you on the list already. You done hit your 50,000 miles. That way they already know that you're on their side, because we are on their side. We don't want them to quit because they get discouraged because they find, like, surprise. We don't want it to be a surprise on hitting the 50,000 miles and then there's a weight limit for these students. So just be truthful with them and make sure you really explain that to them. If they're not getting it from you and not understanding it from you, then you might want to hit up your fleet manager, and maybe your fleet manager can explain to them the process, because sometimes they may not listen to you as good as they will listen to somebody else, like a fleet manager maybe. Get with that fleet manager. Let that fleet manager tell them. If you have to, all three of y'all sit down and have a conference call real quick. I'm sure your fleet manager won't mind explaining it to the students so they'll understand. The 50,000 miles is a long time, and you know, people are, once they hit that number, you know, they're excited. They want to get that truck, but you know, we don't want to discourage them by them hitting the 50,000 miles and then being like, oh, sorry, I didn't tell you, but you're on a list for a truck and it could take a while. That's not what we want to put out there. We want to be honest with them straight up from the beginning. Hey, as of right now, this is what the way it's working. So, you know, pay it. You know, if it changes, then I'll come out with another video that it changes. But right now, we just cannot, like, we're letting too many people get discouraged, because once they hit that 50,000 miles, they start to feel like they're done with their training, and they're feeling like that they're being used from there. You know, I've been talking to some people and trying to get it where at 50,000 miles you can bring them in, drop them off, drop them off or bring them in. That way they can go ahead and upgrade, and then they're just waiting on the list instead of coming back waiting on the list, then doing the upgrade class, then get into the truck. It might help them out some, or you know, it might show you where they need work or stuff like that. I mean, just, you know, I was thinking something like that to get them through the upgrade process maybe faster if they're already upgraded and they're just waiting on the list for a truck. I have one of my students that did that right now. His trainer brought him in, upgraded him, and now he's just waiting on his trainer's truck until another truck comes available. Once a truck comes available for him, then, or the truck, he gets to the top of the list, he'll be able to be put in his truck. If you're looking at your truck, if you're leased and you want to go home and you have an upgraded student on your truck, you can work out something with your student. He's already an AC, he's already upgraded. Tell him, hey man, you know, I run this business, I pay you, so I'll pay you X amount if you run my truck for 1 week or 2 weeks while I'm at home, and you know, work something out. You come back to work without a negative truck. I mean, like, that's 3 weeks off instead of having to pay the payment. So I'm looking at trying some stuff like that. I have one student doing that right now. We're gonna see how it works, and you know, hopefully it works out better like that. But right now, a lot of people are getting discouraged on this, and I've been watching a lot of my students like leave over this and leave, and it's pretty bad, because they're like, I tell them, but by the time they leave me and come to a TNT truck, that they kind of forget. I guess they forget that I done explain this to them, and they hit that 50,000 miles and they're ready to upgrade, and guess what? Like, you got another hurdle in front of you. You're not there yet. But, you know, think about it. Upgrade that student, and if you need to take some home time, that truck can still make some revenue. Something to think about. I'm not saying that it's correct, but it's something you might want to think about. Having an A seat might be beneficial for you. It's between you and the student and the fleet manager if y'all can do that. Right now, I have one student doing that, and I'll probably let y'all know how it goes after this. But that's all I have. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and I'm out for the day.
Old Trucking Game. Check him out on his YouTube channel, all about trucking, because we know that you want to be a trucker. And if you want to be a trucker, there's only one place to go. And head on over to Twisted Big D. Twisted Big D?